My heart sank when my son told me dinner was canceled. I'd spent all day baking his favorite apple pie, thinking I'd see my family together for the first time in years. At 76, every moment with them felt like a treasure I couldn't afford to lose. But when I found out they were eating without me, laughing at a table I wasn't invited to, something inside me broke. That morning in Willow Creek started like any other. I woke up before dawn, when the world was still quiet, and my little house on Pine Street smelled of old wood and coffee. My knees ached as I shuffled to the kitchen, but I didn't mind. Pain was just part of being old, like the creaky floorboards or the faded curtains I never replaced. I'd lived in that house for 40 years, raised my kids there, and buried my husband, James, there in my heart when he passed a decade ago. Every corner held a memory. Sophie's first steps, Michael's crayon scribbles on the walls, their giggles at Christmas dinners. Now the house felt too big, too empty, like it was waiting for something that wouldn't come back. I poured my coffee and sat by the window, watching the neighbor's dog chase its tail across the street. Mrs. Carter, about my age, waved as she watered her roses. Her kids visited every Sunday, bringing grandkids who filled her yard with noise. I envied that. My daughter, Sophie, lived an hour away but came maybe twice a year, always rushing off with some excuse about work. My son, Michael, stopped by more often but his visits left me uneasy. He'd hug me, smile, then ask for money, a loan he called it, though he never paid a dime back. I gave it anyway, hoping it'd keep him close. Today was different, though. Michael had called last week, excited about a family dinner for his 25th wedding anniversary with Lisa. "Mom, you have to come," he said. "We're doing it big at Riverbend Grill. Sophie's coming too." My heart leaped. A real family night, like the old days. I spent days planning. Picked out my navy dress, the one James loved, and decided to bake apple pie, Michael's favorite since he was a boy. That morning, I started early. Flour dusted my hands as I rolled dough, humming a tune James used to sing. The oven's warmth filled the kitchen, and for a moment, I felt young again, like I was baking for my kids' school fairs. I pictured the dinner, Michael raising a glass, Sophie laughing, my grandson Ethan telling me about college. Ethan was the only one who visited without wanting something. Last month, he'd spent an afternoon fixing my porch step, refusing even $1. "Just love you, Grandma Emma," he'd said, his grin so like James's it hurt. By noon, the pie was golden, cooling on the counter. I was wiping my hands on my apron when the phone rang. Michael's name lit up the screen. "Hey Mom," he said, his voice tight. "Listen, I'm sorry but dinner's off. Lisa's got a bad flu, fever and all. Doctor says she's gotta rest for a week." My stomach dropped. "Oh honey, that's awful. Is she okay? Can I bring some soup or—" No, we're fine," he cut in too quick. "Just wanted to let you know. We'll do it another time, promise. Gotta go, Mom." The line went dead before I could answer. I stood there, phone in hand, staring at the pie. All that work, all that hope gone. I tried to shake it off. Maybe Lisa really was sick. Maybe Michael was just stressed. But something felt wrong, like a knot in my chest I couldn't untie. I sank into my chair, the one James used to read in, and looked at his photo on the shelf. He was smiling, his gray hair messy from a day in the garden. "What do I do, James?" I whispered. He didn't answer, but I felt his voice in my head, steady as ever. "Don't let them push you away, Emma." I decided to call Sophie, just to check on her. She answered on the third ring, sounding distracted. "Hey Mom, what's up? I'm swamped at the shop. Just wanted to see how you're doing," I said, keeping my voice light. "And Michael said dinner's canceled. Lisa's sick, right?" There was a pause, too long. "Oh yeah, that," she said, her tone odd. "Sure, Lisa's sick. Look Mom, I gotta run. Big order came in. Talk later." She hung up before I could press her. That knot in my chest tightened. Sophie's voice wasn't right. She sounded like she was hiding something. I tried to distract myself, flipping through an old photo album. There was Michael at 6, gap-toothed and proud with his first bike. Sophie at 10, her braids flying as she ran through the sprinkler. James and me, arm in arm, at their high school graduation. When did they drift so far? When did I become someone they whispered about instead of talked to? By afternoon I couldn't sit still. I needed air, needed to think. I grabbed my coat and walked to the corner market, my cane tapping the sidewalk. The crisp fall air stung my cheeks, but it cleared my head. At the market, I ran into Judy, a friend who worked with Sophie at her flower shop. "Emma, you look tired," she said, her eyes kind. "Everything okay?" "Just a long day," I smiled, not wanting to burden her. "How's Sophie holding up with the shop?" Judy brightened. "Oh, she's thrilled. Taking tomorrow off for that big anniversary dinner, right? 25 years for Michael and Lisa, wow." My heart stopped. "Dinner?" I managed, my voice barely steady. Judy frowned. "Yeah, at Riverbend Grill. Sophie's been talking about it all week. Didn't she tell you?" I forced a smile, my mind racing. Must have slipped my mind. "Thanks, Judy." I bought a loaf of bread I didn't need and hurried home, my cane hitting the ground harder. Michael lied. Sophie lied. They were having the dinner without me. Why? What did I do? Back home, I sat at the kitchen table, the pie staring at me like a cruel joke. I felt foolish, old, unwanted. But then I looked at James's photo again, and something shifted. I wasn't just a sad old woman. I was Emma Larson, who'd raised 2 kids, loved a good man, and kept this house standing through every storm. If my kids thought they could shut me out, they were wrong. I stood up, my hands shaking but sure, and pulled my navy dress from the closet. Tomorrow night was going to be more than they bargained for. I held the navy dress against me, staring at my reflection in the bedroom mirror. The fabric felt heavy, like it carried every memory of James's smile when I wore it. My hands trembled, not from age but from the anger bubbling inside. Michael and Sophie lied to keep me away from their family dinner. Why? What was so wrong with me that my own kids didn't want me there? I hung the dress on the door and sank onto the bed, my cane leaning against the nightstand. The house was quiet, except for the tick of the old clock James loved. It was past 6, and the sky outside my window turned a soft purple. I wanted to cry, but tears wouldn't come. Instead, I felt a fire I hadn't known in years. I thought about calling Michael, demanding answers, but stopped myself. What would he say? Another lie? I needed to know the truth, not more stories. Then the phone rang, sharp and sudden. My heart jumped, thinking it was him. But it was Ethan, my grandson. "Grandma, Emma, you free?" His voice was warm, like a blanket on a cold day. "Just sitting here, honey," I said, trying to sound normal. "What's on your mind?" He laughed, a little nervous. "I left my history book at your place last week. Can I swing by tomorrow to grab it? Maybe before the dinner at Riverbend Grill?" My breath caught. Ethan knew about the dinner too. I gripped the phone, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Dinner? Oh right. Your dad said it's canceled, didn't he? Lisa's sick." There was a long pause. "Canceled?" Ethan sounded confused. "No way. Dad texted me this morning, said to be there by 7. Said it's a big deal for him and Mom." "Grandma, you sure you got that right?" My chest tightened, like someone squeezed my heart. Ethan wasn't lying, he sounded too surprised. I forced a chuckle. "You know me, honey. Old age messes with my head sometimes. I must have mixed it up. You going to the dinner then?" "Yeah," he said, hesitant. "You're coming too, right? I mean, it's a family thing." I swallowed hard, the knot in my throat growing. "Sure, honey. I'll be there. Don't worry about me." We talked a bit more, about his college classes, a girl he liked named Ava, but my mind was elsewhere. When I hung up, I felt dizzy. Not only had Michael and Sophie lied, but they'd kept Ethan in the dark about excluding me. I paced the living room, my cane tapping the floor. Why hide it from Ethan? Was he supposed to think I just didn't show up? The thought made my blood boil. I stopped by the shelf where I kept old papers, Bill's letters, James's will. Michael had asked about the will last year, saying I should sign the house over to him. "It's safer, Mom," he'd said, his eyes avoiding mine. "You don't need the stress." Sophie had chimed in, suggesting a retirement home. "They'll take care of you better than we can," she'd said, her voice too sweet. I'd brushed it off then, but now it hit me like a slap. Was this about the house? The money? Did they think I was too old to notice? I pulled out the will, my fingers shaking as I read it. James left everything to me, with clear instructions. The house was mine until I passed, then split between Michael and Sophie. But there was a clause I'd forgotten. James added a small trust for Ethan's college, only accessible if I signed it over. Michael had asked about that trust a few months ago, saying Ethan needed help with tuition. I'd given him cash instead, thinking it was easier. Now I wondered if that was a mistake. Had Michael wanted that trust for himself? I put the papers back, my mind spinning. I needed proof, not guesses. I decided to call Lisa, Michael's wife, to test her story. If she was really sick, I'd hear it in her voice. I dialed, my heart pounding. Lisa answered on the second ring, her voice bright. Emma, hi. How's my favorite mom-in-law? My grip tightened on the phone. She didn't sound sick, not even a cough. Just checking on you, dear, I said, keeping my tone soft. Michael said you're down with the flu. I was worried. Another pause, shorter but heavy. Oh yeah, it's awful, she said, her voice dropping. Fever, chills, the works. Doctors got me on bed rest. I could hear the lie, thin as paper. That's too bad, I said, playing along. I was gonna bring you some apple pie tomorrow, cheer you up. No need, she said quickly. We're all set. Thanks though. I gotta rest now, okay? She hung up before I could say more. I stared at the phone, my anger growing. Lisa was in on it too. They all were, except Ethan. I felt betrayed, but also foolish, like I'd been blind for years. I walked to the kitchen where the apple pie sat, its sweet smell mocking me. I wanted to smash it, but instead, I covered it with foil. I'd bring it to that dinner, invited or not. Let them see me, let them squirm. But I needed a plan. I couldn't just show up and yell. I had to be smart, like James always was when he faced trouble. I remembered a time when Michael was 15, caught stealing from my purse. James didn't shout. He sat him down, made him confess, and worked it out. I needed that kind of calm. The doorbell rang, startling me. It was late, almost 8. I peered through the curtain and saw Ava, Ethan's girlfriend, standing on the porch. Her red hair glowed under the light, and she looked nervous, clutching a small bag. I opened the door, surprised. Ava, honey, what brings you here? She smiled shy. Hi, Mrs. Larson. Ethan said he left his history book here. I was nearby, so I thought I'd grab it for him. He's stressed about tomorrow's dinner. My heart skipped. Another chance to dig. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Let's find that book. Ava followed me to the living room, where Ethan always studied. I glanced at her as we searched. So you going to the dinner tomorrow? I asked, casual. Her eyes widened. Me? Oh no, it's a family thing. Ethan said it's just you, him, his parents, and Aunt Sophie. I froze, my hand on a stack of books. Just us. So they'd planned it carefully, making sure Ethan thought I was included. That's nice, I said, my voice tight. Found it. Ava held up the book, oblivious to my turmoil. Thanks, Mrs. Larson. I better go. Ethan's waiting. She hugged me quick and left, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I sat on the couch, the book still warm from her hands. The truth was clear now. My kids didn't just forget me. They planned to keep me out, spinning lies to Ethan and Lisa's fake flu. But why? The house, the trust, or something else? I looked at James's photo, his eyes steady. I'm not staying home, James, I whispered. They'll see me tomorrow, and I'll find out why they're doing this. I stood, my resolve hard as stone. Tomorrow wasn't just a dinner. It was a fight for my place in my family. And Emma Larson wasn't going down easy. I clutched James's photo, my fingers tracing his smile. The house felt colder now, like the walls knew the hurt I carried. My kids, Michael and Sophie, had planned a family dinner without me, weaving lies to keep me away. Even Lisa, my daughter-in-law, played along with her fake flu. Only Ethan, my grandson, seemed out of the loop, thinking I was invited. I set the photo down and walked to the kitchen. The apple pie, wrapped in foil, sat on the counter, a reminder of the love I'd poured into it. Tomorrow I'd walk into Riverbend Grill, pie in hand, and face them all. But tonight, I needed to be ready. I couldn't sleep with so many questions burning in my head. Why did they shut me out? Was it about the house, Ethan's trust, or something worse? I poured a glass of water, my hands shaky. The clock showed 9, too late to call anyone, but I couldn't sit still. I remembered Mrs. Carter, my neighbor, whose kids never lied to her. Maybe she'd heard something. Gossip traveled fast in Willow Creek. I grabbed my shawl and stepped outside, the night air sharp against my face. Her porch light was on, and I saw her silhouette through the window knitting. I knocked softly, hoping I wasn't a bother. "Emma," she said, opening the door, her gray hair in a loose bun. "What's wrong, dear? You look pale." I forced a smile. "Just couldn't sleep, Helen. Mind if I sit a spell?" She waved me in, her living room warm with the smell of lavender. "Tea?" she offered, already heading to the kitchen. "Sure," I said, sinking into her couch. We sat with our cups, steam curling between us. "So what's got you up this late?" Helen asked, her eyes kind but sharp. I hesitated, then let it out. "Michael told me his anniversary dinner's canceled. Said Lisa's sick. But I heard from Judy and Ethan that it's still on. They're having it without me." My voice cracked, and I looked down, ashamed of the tears welling up. Helen set her cup down, her face soft. "Oh, Emma, that's cruel. You sure it's not a mistake?" I shook my head. "I called Lisa. She lied." Helen sounded healthy as a horse. "Sophie dodged me too. Even Ethan thinks I'm going, but I wasn't invited." Helen sighed, leaning back. "Families can be hard. My son forgot my birthday once, but this feels different. You talked to Michael about it?" "Not yet," I said, my voice firmer. "I'm going tomorrow, invited or not. I need to know why they're doing this." Helen's eyes widened. "Good for you, Emma. Don't let them push you aside. But be careful. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie." Her words stuck with me, heavy like a stone. "You hear anything?" I asked, hoping for a clue. "About Michael or Sophie?" She frowned, thinking. "Not much. But last month I saw Michael at the bank with some fancy man in a suit. Looked serious, like they were signing papers. Could be nothing, but..." My heart skipped. "Papers? Was this about the house?" "Thanks, Helen," I said, standing. "I better get back. Got a big day tomorrow." Back home, I couldn't shake what Helen said. Michael at the bank, signing papers. I thought about the will again, but it was late, and my eyes burned. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, remembering Michael as a boy. He'd climb into my lap, promising he'd never leave me. Where was that boy now? Sleep came slow, and when it did, I dreamed of James, standing at our old picnic table, waiting for a family that never showed. Morning came too fast. I woke with a headache, but a clear mind. I showered, put on my navy dress and fixed my hair, pinning it up like James liked. The mirror showed an old woman, but my eyes were alive, ready for a fight. The phone rang as I grabbed my purse. It was Sophie, her voice rushed. "Mom, hey, just checking in. You doing okay?" I gripped the phone, my heart racing. "I'm fine, Sophie. Just getting ready for the day." "You?" She laughed, nervous. "Oh, crazy at the shop. Listen, I might swing by next week, bring you some flowers." "Sound good." I saw my chance. "That'd be nice," I said, casual. Too bad about Michael's dinner being canceled. I was looking forward to it. Silence. Then yeah, Lisa's real sick. Bummer, right? Anyway, gotta go, Mom. Love you. She hung up, and I stood there shaking. Another lie, quick and careless. I wanted to scream, but instead, I grabbed the pie and my cane. I wasn't just going to the dinner, I was going to make them face me. I drove to Riverbend Grill, my old Buick rattling. The parking lot was full, and through the window, I saw families laughing, clinking glasses. My stomach twisted. Was my family in there, pretending I didn't exist? I parked and sat for a moment, pie in my lap. Then I heard a tap on my window. It was Ethan, his face lighting up. "Grandma Emma, you're early." I was just grabbing my jacket from Ava's car. He opened my door, offering his arm. "Come on, let's go in together." My heart sank. Ethan still thought I was invited. "Honey," I said, my voice soft. "Did your dad tell you I was coming?" He frowned. "Yeah, he said you'd be here." "Why?" "Something wrong." I took a breath, deciding to protect him for now. "Nothing's wrong, sweetie. Just glad to see you." We walked inside, the restaurant buzzing with noise. The hostess smiled. "Name?" "Larson," Ethan said. "Party of 5. She checked her list. "Right this way." My legs felt weak as we followed her. Then I saw them, Michael, Lisa, and Sophie, at a round table, laughing over wine. No empty chair for me. Michael's eyes met mine, and his smile froze. "Mom," he said, his voice high. Lisa's glass slipped, spilling red wine on the tablecloth. Sophie's face went white. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. I stood tall, pie in hand, Ethan beside me, confused. "I heard the dinner was back on," I said, my voice steady despite the hurt. "Thought I'd bring dessert." Michael stood, his chair scraping. "Mom, listen, it's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I cut in, louder than I meant. Heads turned, but I didn't care. "You told me Lisa was sick. You told Ethan I was invited. Why lie, Michael? Why shut me out?" Lisa looked away, her cheeks red. Sophie stared at her plate. Ethan's voice broke the silence. "Dad, what's she talking about? You said Grandma was coming." Michael opened his mouth, but no words came. I set the pie on the table, my hands steady now. "I deserve answers," I said. "And I'm not leaving till I get them." The table stayed silent, the air thick with guilt. Then Sophie spoke, her voice barely audible. "Mom, we didn't mean to hurt you. It's complicated." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Complicated? Try telling me the truth for once." Ethan touched my arm. "Grandma, let's sit down, okay? We'll figure this out." But I saw something in Michael's eyes. Panic, not just surprise. He glanced at a folder under his chair, half hidden. Papers, just like Helen said. My heart raced. Was this the twist I'd been chasing? I pointed to the folder. "What's that, Michael? Something else you're hiding?" His face told me I'd hit something big, and I wasn't backing down. The restaurant's chatter faded as I stood by the table, my eyes locked on the folder under Michael's chair. My heart pounded, each beat a mix of hurt and hope for answers. Michael's face was pale, his hands gripping the table like he might fall without it. Sophie stared at her wine-stained napkin, and Lisa's eyes darted to the floor. Ethan, my sweet grandson, stood beside me, his confusion heavy in the air. "Dad, what's going on?" he asked again, his voice cracking. I set the apple pie down, its weight nothing compared to the pain in my chest. I'd come to Riverbend Grill uninvited, expecting lies, but that folder felt like a new wound. What were they hiding? I pointed at it, my voice steady despite the tremble in my hands. "Michael, what's in there? Tell me, or I'll pick it up myself." Michael's eyes flicked to the folder, then back to me. "Mom, it's nothing, just work stuff," he said too fast. His voice was high, like when he was a boy caught sneaking cookies. I didn't buy it. "Work stuff at a family dinner?" I said, stepping closer. "You lied about Lisa being sick. You lied to Ethan about me being invited. Don't lie about this too." Lisa's head snapped up, her cheeks red. "Emma, please, let's not do this here," she whispered, glancing at nearby tables. People were watching now, their forks paused mid-bite. I didn't care. "No, Lisa," I said, my voice louder. "I'm done with secrets. I raised you all, gave you everything, and you sit here like I'm nothing. Why?" Sophie finally looked up, her eyes wet. "Mom, it's not like that," she said, her voice small. We thought it'd be easier." "Easier?" I laughed, the sound sharp and raw. "Easier to lie? To pretend I don't exist?" Ethan's hand touched my arm, gentle but firm. "Grandma, sit down, please. Let's talk this out." I wanted to stay standing, to hold my ground, but his worried eyes softened me. I pulled a chair from another table and sat, my cane leaning against my knee. The pie sat untouched, its sweet smell mocking the bitterness around us. "Start talking," I said, looking at Michael. "And don't leave anything out." Michael ran a hand through his hair, his wedding ring catching the light. "Mom, I didn't want to hurt you," he started, his voice low. We needed to talk about some things. Family stuff." I leaned forward, my heart racing. "What family stuff? The house? Ethan's trust? What?" His eyes widened, like I'd caught him off guard. "How do you know about the trust?" he asked, then stopped, realizing his mistake. Sophie shot him a look, her lips tight. Ethan frowned. "What trust? Dad, what's she talking about?" I kept my eyes on Michael, waiting. He sighed, slumping in his chair. "Okay, Mom, fine. Yeah, it's about the house. And the trust. But it's not what you think. My chest tightened, like someone was squeezing my ribs. Then tell me what it is, I said, my voice breaking. Because right now, I think my own kids are trying to push me out of my home. Lisa's hand flew to her mouth, a sob escaping. Emma, no, we'd never. Then why lie? I cut in, turning to her. You sounded fine on the phone. No flu, no fever. Why play along? Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Because Michael asked me to, she said, her voice barely audible. He said it was better this way. Michael groaned. Lisa, come on. No, Michael, she snapped, turning to him. She deserves to know. I hated lying, but you said it was for her own good. I felt like the floor was slipping away. My own good, I repeated, looking at Michael. How is shutting me out for my own good? He didn't answer, his eyes on the folder. Sophie spoke instead, her voice shaky. Mom, we were worried about you. You're alone in that big house, and it's falling apart. The roof leaks, the stairs creak. We thought, maybe a retirement home would be safer. My heart stopped. A retirement home. The same thing they'd hinted at last year. You mean easier for you? I said, my voice cold. So you can sell my house, split the money, and forget about me. Sophie shook her head, tears falling. No, Mom, it's not about money. We love you. I wanted to believe her, but the folder loomed like a shadow. Then what's in there? I asked, pointing again. Michael hesitated, then reached for it, his hands slow. It's just some papers, he said, pulling it onto the table. About the house. I was gonna talk to you later. I snatched the folder before he could stop me, my hands shaking as I opened it. Inside were bank forms, a real estate appraisal, and a letter from a lawyer. My eyes caught words like transfer and sale. I felt sick. You're selling my house? I whispered, looking at him. Michael's face crumpled. No, Mom, not selling. Just exploring options. The trust, it's tied to the house, and Ethan needs it for school. Ethan's voice cut through sharp. I don't need anything, Dad. I told you I'm fine with loans. Why didn't you tell me about this? Michael looked at him, pained. Because you're a kid, Ethan. You don't get it. That trust could set you up, and Mom doesn't need that big house anymore. I closed the folder, my hands steady now. You don't decide what I need, I said, my voice low but firm. This is my home, Michael. Mine and James's. You don't get to take it. The table went quiet, the weight of my words sinking in. Lisa wiped her eyes, Sophie stared at her hands, and Ethan looked lost. Then a new voice spoke, soft but clear. Mrs. Larson? I turned to see Judy, Sophie's friend from the flower shop, standing nearby. She held a tray of drinks, her face nervous. I didn't mean to listen, but I heard Sophie talking at work. She said they were meeting a lawyer tonight, after dinner. Something about a nursing home. My blood ran cold. Sophie gasped. Judy, that's not. It's true, Judy said, her voice firm. You said it'd be easier if Emma didn't know. The restaurant seemed to spin. A nursing home. Not just the house, but my freedom. I looked at Sophie, my voice barely a whisper. Is that true? Sophie's tears fell faster. Mom, I didn't mean it like that. We were just scared for you. I stood, my cane in hand, the folder tucked under my arm. Scared for me, or scared I'd say no? I asked, my voice breaking. Ethan stood too, his face angry. Grandma, I didn't know any of this. I swear. I touched his cheek, my heart aching. I know, honey. This isn't on you. I turned to Michael, Lisa, and Sophie, their faces a blur of guilt and fear. You want me gone, fine. But I'm not some old thing you can toss aside. I'm your mother. I grabbed the pie and walked out, Ethan calling after me. The cold night air hit my face, but I didn't cry. I had a new fight now, and I wasn't losing. The cold night air stung my cheeks as I stepped out of Riverbend Grill. The apple pie heavy in my hands and the folder tucked under my arm. My heart pounded, a mix of anger and heartbreak. Michael, Sophie, and Lisa had planned to sell my house, maybe even push me into a nursing home, all while lying to my face. Judy's words echoed in my head. Sophie talking about a lawyer, saying it'd be easier if I didn't know. I felt like a fool, but more than that, I felt betrayed. Ethan's voice called out behind me. Grandma, wait. His footsteps hurried across the parking lot, his face pale under the streetlights. I stopped by my Buick, my cane digging into the gravel. "Honey, go back inside," I said, my voice softer than I felt. "This isn't your fight." Ethan shook his head, his eyes wide. "No way, Grandma. I didn't know what they were doing, I swear. Dad never told me about the house or any trust. I'm not okay with this." His voice cracked, and I saw the boy he used to be, the one who'd cry when I left after a visit. My heart softened, but only for him. "I believe you," I said, touching his arm. "But I need to be alone right now. Go talk to your dad. Ask him why he lied to you too." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "I'm coming by tomorrow, okay? We'll figure this out." He hugged me, quick and tight, before heading back inside. I watched him go, my chest aching. At least one person in my family still saw me as more than a problem. I climbed into my car, the folder sliding onto the passenger seat. The pie sat in my lap, its warmth gone. I wanted to go home, lock the door, and shut the world out, but my mind wouldn't rest. That folder held answers, and I needed to know what my kids were really planning. I drove slow, the streets of Willow Creek quiet under the moon. My house looked small when I pulled up, its porch light flickering. Inside, I set the pie on the kitchen table and opened the folder, my hands steady despite the knot in my stomach. The papers were dense, bank forms, a property appraisal, and a letter from a lawyer named Robert Klein. The appraisal valued my house at $350,000, more than I'd thought. The lawyer's letter mentioned a transfer of assets to secure family interests. My blood ran cold. They weren't just talking about selling. They were already moving forward. I sank into a chair, the papers trembling in my hands. Memories flooded back. James fixing the porch, Sophie painting her room pink, Michael carving his initials into the oak tree out back. This wasn't just a house, it was our life. How could they think I'd let it go? The phone rang, shattering the silence. It was Michael. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Part of me wanted to ignore him, but I needed to hear his voice, to see if there was any regret. "What do you want?" I answered, my tone sharp. "Mom, please," he said, his voice low. "I'm sorry about tonight. Can we talk? Just you and me." I laughed bitter. "Talk? Like you talked to that lawyer? Or the bank about my house?" Silence. Then, "How do you know about the lawyer?" he asked, his voice tight. "Doesn't matter," I said. "I saw the papers, Michael. You're trying to take my home." "Why?" He sighed heavy. "It's not about taking, Mom. It's about keeping you safe. That house is too much for you. The trust, it's for Ethan, but it's tied to the property. We were gonna tell you, I swear." I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. "Tell me? Or trick me? You lied about the dinner, about Lisa. You think I'm too old to see through you." His voice broke. "Mom, I'm not the bad guy. I'm trying to do what's right. Can I come over tomorrow? Please." I wanted to say no, to slam the door on him forever, but something in his voice stopped me. Maybe fear, maybe guilt. "Fine," I said. "Tomorrow noon. But no more lies, Michael. I mean it." I hung up before he could answer, my heart racing. I didn't trust him, not anymore, but I needed to know how deep this went. I looked at the papers again, noticing a sticky note I'd missed. It had Sophie's handwriting. "Call Klein nursing home options." My stomach twisted. Judy was right. They weren't just after the house. They wanted me out of the way, locked in some home where I'd fade into nothing. I stood, pacing the kitchen, my cane tapping the floor. I felt trapped, like the walls were closing in. Then I heard a knock at the door, soft but urgent. It was late, past 10. I peeked through the curtain and saw Helen, my neighbor, wrapped in a coat, her face worried. I opened the door, surprised. "Helen, what's wrong?" She stepped inside, her eyes scanning my face. "I couldn't sleep after you left last night," she said. "I heard something today, Emma, and I had to tell you. My son's friend works at the bank. He saw Michael there again with that lawyer. They were talking about a loan, using your house as collateral." My knees buckled, and I grabbed the counter. "A loan?" I whispered. "Against my house?" Helen nodded, her voice gentle. "I don't know details, but it sounded serious. Emma, you need to protect yourself. Talk to someone, a lawyer maybe." I nodded, numb. Thanks, Helen. I'll handle it. She hugged me before leaving, her warmth a small comfort. Alone again, I sat at the table, the papers staring back. Alone. That's why Michael needed the house. Not for Ethan, not for my safety. For money. I thought of James, how he'd worked double shifts to pay off this house, promising we'd grow old here. I felt his strength in me now, steadying my shaking hands. I wasn't giving up. I grabbed my phone and called Ethan, needing to hear his voice. He answered sleepy. Grandma? You okay? I'm fine, honey. I lied, my voice soft. Just wanted to say I love you. You coming by tomorrow? Yeah, he said, waking up. I'm mad at Dad, Grandma. He lied to me too. I'm on your side, okay? My eyes burned with tears, but I smiled. I know, Ethan. See you tomorrow. I hung up, feeling a spark of hope. Ethan was with me, and that was enough to keep going. I looked at the pie, still untouched, and decided to bake another tomorrow. Not for them, but for me. I was Emma Larson, and I wasn't done fighting for my place in this world. Morning light crept through my kitchen curtains, soft but unforgiving. I hadn't slept much, my mind tangled with Michael's lies, Sophie's note about a nursing home, and Helen's warning about the loan. The folder of papers sat on the table, next to the untouched apple pie, both mocking me. I was 76, but I felt like a fighter in a ring, bruised but not down. I stood, my knees creaking, and started coffee, needing its warmth to face the day. Michael was coming at noon, and I had to be ready, not just to hear him out, but to stand my ground. My house, my life, wasn't theirs to take. I thought of James, his steady voice telling me to hold on. I whispered to his photo. I'm trying, love. I'm trying. The doorbell rang at 10, earlier than I expected. I shuffled to the door, my cane tapping, and found Ethan on the porch, his backpack slung over one shoulder. His eyes were red, like he'd been up all night. Grandma, he said, stepping in before I could speak. I'm so sorry about last night. I yelled at Dad after you left. He wouldn't tell me everything, but I know he's wrong. I hugged him, his warmth easing the ache in my chest. Oh honey, it's not your fault, I said, my voice thick. Come in, sit. You want some juice? He nodded, following me to the kitchen. Grandma, why didn't they tell me? He asked, slumping into a chair. They made me think you were coming to dinner. I feel so stupid. I poured him a glass, my heart hurting for him. You're not stupid, Ethan, I said, sitting across from him. Your dad and Sophie, they made choices. Bad ones. But you're here now, and that means everything. He looked at the folder, his brow furrowing. What's in there? Dad kept looking at it last night like it was a bomb. I sighed, pushing it toward him. Bank papers, a house appraisal, a lawyer's letter. Your dad's trying to use my house for a loan. And Sophie's talking about nursing homes. Ethan's jaw dropped. A nursing home? Grandma, no way. You're fine here. This is your home. His voice rose, angry but protective, and I felt a spark of pride. I know, honey, I said, patting his hand. But I need to hear your dad out today. He's coming at noon. Maybe there's more to it. Ethan shook his head. Don't let him sweet-talk you, Grandma. He lied to both of us. I smiled, sad but firm. I won't, Ethan. I'm old, not weak. He grinned a little like James. You're the toughest person I know. We talked more, about his classes, his girlfriend Ava, anything to lighten the mood. But when he left, promising to check in later, the house felt heavy again. I looked at the pie, then decided to bake another, like I'd planned. Chopping apples, rolling dough, it calmed me like I was taking back control, one slice at a time. By noon I was ready. The new pie cooled on the counter, and I'd hidden the folder in a drawer, not trusting Michael with it. When he knocked, my stomach twisted, but I opened the door, my face hard. He stood there, his coat wrinkled, his eyes tired. Mom, he said, his voice soft. Can I come in? I stepped aside, saying nothing. He sat at the kitchen table, glancing at the pies. Smells good. He tried, but I cut him off. Don't, Michael. Just talk. Why'd you lie? Why's my house in those papers? He rubbed his face, looking older than his 48 years. Mom, I messed up, he said. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It's about the business. I'm in debt bad. The bank said I could use the house as collateral, just till I get back on my feet. I stared at him, my heart sinking. My house? For your debt? Without asking me. He looked down ashamed. I was gonna tell you, Mom. I thought if we sold it, split the money, it'd help everyone. You, me, Sophie, Ethan. I laughed, sharp and cold. Help you mean? What about me? Where do I go? That nursing home Sophie's whispering about. His head snapped up. Nursing home? Mom, no, that's not. Don't lie, I snapped, slamming my hand on the table. I saw Sophie's note. You're planning to shove me away, like I'm trash. Michael's eyes widened, panic flashing. Mom, I swear, I didn't know about any nursing home. Sophie never told me that. I didn't believe him, not fully. Then why the lawyer? I asked, leaning forward. Why the bank? Why lie about the dinner? He sighed, his voice breaking. Because I was scared. Scared you'd say no. Scared you'd hate me. I felt a pang, remembering the boy who'd cling to me during storms. But that boy was gone. I don't hate you, I said, my voice low. But I don't trust you. You broke my heart, Michael. His eyes filled with tears, and for a moment, I wanted to hug him, to fix it all. But I couldn't. Not yet. Mom, let me make this right, he said, reaching for my hand. I pulled back. How? By giving me my house back? By telling Ethan the truth? Before he could answer, the doorbell rang. I frowned, not expecting anyone. Stay here, I said, grabbing my cane. At the door was Sophie, her face pale, her coat unbuttoned. Mom, she said, her voice shaky. I need to talk to you. Alone. I glanced back at Michael, who stood in the kitchen doorway, his face tense. Sophie, what's this about? I asked, my heart racing. She stepped inside, ignoring Michael. Mom, I heard you found the papers. It's not what you think. I wasn't for the nursing home. It was Michael's idea to sell the house, not mine. Michael's voice boomed. What? Sophie, don't pin this on me. You said we needed to handle Mom's future. I stood between them, my head spinning. Stop it, both of you, I shouted, my cane hitting the floor. You're fighting over my life like I'm not here. Tell me the truth now. Sophie's tears fell, her voice small. Mom, I wanted to protect you. Michael's in trouble, real trouble. His business is failing, and he owes people money. Bad people. My breath caught. Bad people? I looked at Michael, his face ashen. Is that true? I asked. He nodded, barely. Yeah, Mom. I borrowed from some guys. They're not patient. The house was my only way out. My legs felt weak, but I stayed standing. So you'd sell my home to save yourself? And drag Sophie into it. He shook his head, desperate. I didn't want to, Mom. I thought I could fix it. Sophie grabbed my arm. Mom, I lied about the dinner because Michael begged me. I didn't know how bad it was till yesterday. I pulled away, my voice cold. You both lied. You both hurt me. And Ethan. How do I trust you now? The room went quiet, their guilt a weight I could feel. I looked at the pies, symbols of a love they didn't deserve. But I wasn't done. Get out, I said, my voice firm. Both of you. I need to think. They left, heads down, and I locked the door, my heart heavy but unbroken. I had a fight to win, and it was just beginning. I locked the door behind Michael and Sophie, my hands shaking as I leaned against it. The house was quiet, but my heart roared with hurt and anger. They'd lied, planned to sell my home, and dragged Ethan into their mess, all because Michael owed money to bad people. I walked to the kitchen, where the 2 apple pies sat, their sweet smell a cruel reminder of the love I'd poured out. I wanted to scream, to throw them at the wall, but instead, I sank into a chair, my cane falling to the floor. James's photo watched me from the shelf, his eyes steady. What now, love? I whispered, tears finally spilling. I felt old, tired, but not broken. Not yet. The phone buzzed, snapping me out of it. It was a text from Ethan. Grandma, I'm coming over. Dad told me everything. I'm so mad. My heart lifted a little. Ethan was still mine. I texted back. Come when you can, honey. I'm here. I stood, wiping my eyes, and started cleaning the kitchen, needing to move. The folder of papers was still in the drawer, and I pulled it out, staring at the lawyer's letter. Robert Klein. The name felt like a thorn. I needed to know more, but I didn't trust banks or lawyers. I needed someone real, someone I could talk to. Then I remembered Clara, my old friend from church, who'd worked at the bank years ago. Maybe she'd know something. I called her, my voice shaky. Clara, it's Emma. You got a minute? Her warm voice came through. Emma, honey, always. You sound upset. What's wrong? I spilled it all. The dinner, the lies, the papers, Michael's debt. My words tumbled out, raw and fast. They want my house, Clara. Michael's in trouble, and Sophie's talking nursing homes. I don't know what to do. Clara was quiet a moment, then said, Oh, Emma, that's awful. I'm so sorry. Listen, I know Robert Klein. He's a lawyer, but he's shady. I heard he helps folks dodge debts with quick property deals. You need to see him yourself. Ask what he's doing with your house. My stomach twisted. See him? Clara, I'm no lawyer. What do I say? You say you're Emma Larson, she said, firm. You raised those kids, buried James, kept that house standing. You're stronger than you think. I'll come with you if you want. Her words lit a fire in me. Thanks, Clara, I said. Can you come tomorrow? I need to do this fast. I'll be there, she promised. 10 in the morning, okay? I hung up, feeling a flicker of hope. But before I could think more, the doorbell rang. It was Ethan, his face stormy, Ava behind him, her red hair tucked under a scarf. Grandma, Ethan said, hugging me tight. I can't believe Dad did this. He told me about the loan, the guys he owes. It's bad, but you don't deserve this. Ava nodded, her eyes soft. Mrs. Larson, we're here for you. Ethan's been a mess all morning. I smiled, touched. Come in, both of you. Let's talk. We sat in the living room. Ethan on the couch, Ava beside him. What did your dad say? I asked, my voice gentle. Ethan's fists clenched. He said he borrowed money for his business, but it tanked. These guys he owes, they're not bank types. They threatened him, Grandma. Said they'd come after us if he doesn't pay. My heart stopped. After us? You mean me too? Ethan nodded, his voice low. That's why he wanted the house. He thinks selling it will clear the debt. Ava touched his arm. Ethan told him no, Mrs. Larson. Said it's your home, not his. But Michael's scared. I saw it in his eyes last night. I leaned back, my mind racing. Scared or not, he lied to me. To you. That's not okay. Ethan's eyes met mine, fierce. I told him I'm done with him unless he fixes this. Grandma, I'm not letting them take your house. I'll help you fight. My throat tightened. Tears threatening again. Oh, honey, you don't have to fight my battles. Yes, I do, he said, his voice breaking. You're the only one who's always been there. Mom and Dad, they're messed up. But you're my family. Ava squeezed his hand, then looked at me. Mrs. Larson, my uncle's a lawyer. Not like Klein. He's honest. I can call him, see if he'll look at those papers. I blinked, surprised. You'd do that for me? She smiled shy. You're Ethan's grandma. That makes you mine too. I felt a warmth I hadn't in days. Thank you, Ava, I said, my voice thick. Call him. I'm seeing Klein tomorrow with a friend, but I'd love your uncle's help. Ethan stood pacing. Grandma, what if Dad shows up again? Or those guys he owes? I don't trust him. I stood too, my cane steady in my hand. If he shows up, I'll handle him. And those guys? They don't scare me. This is my house, Ethan. Nobody's taking it. He grinned, a spark of pride in his eyes. You're a badass, Grandma. I laughed, the first real laugh in days. Watch your mouth, young man. But yeah, maybe I am. After they left, promising to come back with Ava's uncle, I sat with the papers again. I found another page I'd missed, a loan agreement with Michael's signature, listing my house as collateral. My heart sank, but anger rose hotter. He hadn't just planned this, he'd done it. I wanted to call him, yell, but Clara's words stopped me. I needed to be smart, not loud. The doorbell rang again, and my stomach dropped. Was it Michael? Sophie? Worse? I peeked through the curtain and saw a man in a dark coat, his face unfamiliar. My heart raced. Mrs. Larson? He called, his voice low. We need to talk about your son's debt. I froze, my hand on the lock. Was this one of the bad people? I didn't open the door, but his shadow stayed waiting. I know you're there, he said calmer. Michael's out of time. So are you. I backed away, my breath shallow. I grabbed my phone, ready to call Ethan, but stopped. I couldn't drag him into this. Instead, I dialed Clara. Clara, it's me. I whispered when she answered. There's a man outside, saying Michael owes him. I'm scared. Her voice was steady. Lock the doors, Emma. I'm calling my nephew, he's a cop. Stay put, I'm coming. I hung up, my hands shaking, and checked every lock. The man knocked again, louder. Mrs. Larson opened the door. Let's make this easy. I clutched my cane, my heart pounding but my resolve hard. I wasn't opening that door. I wasn't giving up my home, my life, to anyone. Not Michael, not Sophie, not some stranger. I looked at James's photo, his eyes giving me strength. I'm fighting, love, I whispered. For us. The stranger's knocks echoed in my head, each one a hammer on my heart. I stood frozen in my living room, clutching my cane, the phone still warm from calling Clara. Mrs. Larson, open up, he called again, his voice calm but cold. I didn't move, my eyes on James's photo, his smile giving me strength. I wasn't opening that door. Not for Michael's mess, not for anyone. My house on Pine Street was mine and I'd fight to keep it. I whispered, I'm not scared, James. I'm not. But my shaking hands said otherwise. I crept to the window, peeking through the curtain. The man was tall, his dark coat blending with the night. He looked at his watch, then walked to a black car parked across the street, his shadow long and sharp. I let out a breath, my legs weak. The phone rang, making me jump. It was Clara. Emma, you okay? She asked, her voice tight. My nephew's on his way, Officer Dan. Stay away from the door. I nodded, though she couldn't see. He's gone, Clara, but I'm scared. Said Michael's out of time. What's that mean? Clara's voice softened. It means trouble, honey. Michael's in deep. Dan'll check it out. I'm coming now, be there in 10. I whispered, hurry, and hung up, my heart racing. I sank onto the couch, the folder of papers in my lap. Michael's loan, the house appraisal, Sophie's note about a nursing home. It all felt like a trap closing around me. A car door slammed outside and I tensed, but it was Clara, her silver hair glowing under the porch light. I let her in, locking the door fast. Oh, Emma, she said, hugging me tight. You're shaking. Tell me everything. I did, my voice breaking. Michael's debt, the stranger, the papers. They want my house, Clara. Michael owes bad people, and I'm paying for it. She sat me down, her hands warm on mine. You're not paying for nothing, she said firm. Dan's patrolling now. That man won't come back tonight. Tomorrow we see Klein get your house safe. I looked at her, tears burning. What if I lose it? This is all I have left of James. Clara's eyes were fierce. You won't lose it. You're Emma Larson, toughest woman I know. We'll fight this together. Her words steadied me, like a hand pulling me from a fall. Then headlights flashed outside and we both froze. It's Dan, Clara said, checking her phone. She opened the door, and Officer Dan stepped in, his uniform crisp, his face kind. Mrs. Larson, you all right? He asked, his voice calm. I nodded, wiping my eyes. Just scared. That man, he knew my name. Dan frowned, taking notes. Describe him. I did. Tall, dark coat, black car. Sounds like a collector, Dan said. They work for loan sharks. Michael's in trouble, ma'am. You know where he is. I shook my head. He left an hour ago. Said he'd fix it, but I don't trust him. Dan nodded. I'll look for him. You stay safe, keep doors locked. Call me if that guy shows up. He gave me his card, and Clara hugged him before he left. Alone again, Clara made tea, her hands steady where mine weren't. Emma, you need rest, she said, handing me a cup. I'm staying tonight. No arguing. I smiled, weak but grateful. Thanks, Clara. I don't know what I'd do without you. She patted my hand. You'd fight like always. Now drink. We sat in silence, the tea warm but doing little for the cold in my heart. My phone buzzed, a text from Sophie. Mom, I'm sorry. Can we talk tomorrow? I didn't know it was this bad. I stared at it, angry but aching. Should I answer? I asked Clara. She sighed. Not tonight. Let her sweat. You need answers, not apologies. I nodded, setting the phone down. But another buzz came. Michael this time. Mom, I'm fixing it. Don't talk to anyone. Please. I showed Clara, my stomach twisting. He's scared, she said. But he's not calling the shots. You are. I stood, pacing, my cane tapping. I'm done waiting, Clara. Tomorrow I see Klein. I want my house out of Michael's mess. Clara nodded, proud. That's my girl. Now bed. We got a big day. I lay down, but sleep didn't come. I saw Michael's face, Sophie's tears, that stranger's shadow. I thought of Ethan, my only light in this storm. I'd fight for him, for me, for James. Morning would bring a new battle. And I was ready. Morning came fast, the sunlight sharp through my bedroom window. I woke with Clara's snores echoing from the guest room. A small comfort in my spinning world. My heart still ached from Michael's betrayal, Sophie's lies, and that stranger's knocks last night. But I felt a fire inside, fueled by James's memory and Ethan's loyalty. I dressed in my best sweater, my hands steady despite the fear. Today, I'd face Robert Klein, the lawyer tied to Michael's loan and my house. Clara and I would make sure my home stayed mine. I brewed coffee, the smell grounding me, and set out the apple pies, their crusts perfect but bitter now. Clara shuffled in, her eyes tired but kind. You ready, Emma? She asked, pouring a cup. I nodded, my cane firm in my hand. I have to be. They're not taking my home. She smiled fierce. That's the spirit. Let's go show Klein who he's dealing with. We ate toast in silence, my mind on the folder of papers, bank forms, the appraisal, Sophie's nursing home note. My phone buzzed as we cleaned up. It was Ethan. Grandma. Ava's uncle says he'll meet you at Klein's office at 11. He's got your back. My heart lifted. Thanks, honey. I texted back. You're my rock. Clara read it over my shoulder. Good kid, she said. Now let's move. We drove to Klein's office downtown, the folder in my purse. My stomach churned as we parked outside a glass building, too fancy for Willow Creek. Clara squeezed my hand. You're not alone, Emma. Inside, a young man in a suit greeted us. Tom, Ava's uncle. Mrs. Larson, I looked at the papers you texted, he said, his voice calm. Klein's loan deal is shaky. We can stop it. I nodded, grateful. Just keep my house safe, Tom. He smiled. That's the plan. The receptionist called us in, and we walked into Klein's office, my cane loud on the polished floor. Klein was older, his suit crisp, his smile too smooth. Mrs. Larson, a pleasure, he said, shaking my hand. What brings you here? I sat, Clara and Tom beside me, and pulled out the folder. This, I said, sliding it across his desk. My son Michael used my house for a loan. Without my say. I want it stopped. Klein's smile faltered, his eyes flicking to the papers. Well, now that's a mix-up, he said, leaning back. Michael said you agreed. It's just collateral, not a sale. My blood boiled. He lied. I said, my voice sharp. I never agreed. This is my home, where I raised my kids, buried my husband. You don't touch it. Clara nodded. She's right. And we know about your shady deals, Klein. Tom leaned forward. The loan's not legal without her signature. Undo it, or we go to court. Klein's face tightened, but he kept his cool. Let's not get heated. I'll talk to Michael, see what happened. I shook my head. No. You deal with me. Michael's in debt to bad people, and you're helping him use my house to pay it. That stops now. Klein's eyes narrowed. Bad people? Mrs. Larson, you don't know what you're talking about. I leaned forward, my voice low. I know a man came to my door last night, saying Michael's out of time. I know enough. Clara gasped. You didn't tell me he came back, Emma. I kept my eyes on Klein. Fix this, or I call the police. Before Klein could answer, the door burst open. It was Michael, his face sweaty, his coat unbuttoned. Mom, what are you doing here? He shouted. I stood, my cane steady. What I should have done months ago. Protecting my home. Michael's eyes darted to Klein. You said you'd handle this quietly. Klein stood angry. You said she signed off Larson. This is on you. I laughed bitter. You two deserve each other. Michael, tell me the truth. Who are these people you owe? He looked away, his voice small. Guys from the city. I borrowed for the business, but it wasn't enough. They want the house, Mom, or they'll hurt us. My heart stopped, but I didn't flinch. Hurt us? You mean you? You brought this to my door. Clara grabbed my arm. Emma, we need the police. Tom nodded, pulling out his phone. I'm calling Dan now. Michael's voice broke. Mom, I'm sorry. I thought I could fix it. I didn't want you involved. I looked at him, my son, but saw a stranger. You involved me when you lied. I said, tears in my eyes. Get out, Michael. Fix your mess, but not with my home. He left, head down, and Klein promised to freeze the loan. I didn't trust him, but Tom's presence gave me hope. Outside, Clara hugged me. You did it, Emma. I shook my head. Not yet. But I'm close. The drive home from Klein's office was quiet, Clara's hand on mine as I gripped the steering wheel. My heart felt heavy but alive, like I'd fought a war and won a battle, but not the whole fight. Michael's words haunted me. He owed dangerous people, and my house was their target. I'd stopped Klein's loan for now, but I didn't trust him or Michael to leave it alone. Back home, Clara made tea, her calm presence keeping me steady. You were fierce today, Emma, she said, smiling. James would be proud. I nodded, my eyes on his photo. I hope so, Clara. But I'm not done. Michael's still out there, and those men he owes, they know where I live. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. My stomach dropped, thinking of the stranger from last night. Clara stood, her face tense. Stay here, she said, but I grabbed my cane and followed. It was Ethan, with Ava and a man in a gray suit, her Uncle Tom. Grandma, we've got news, Ethan said, his voice urgent as they stepped inside. Tom held a folder, his eyes serious. Mrs. Larson, I dug into Klein's files. The loan's frozen, but Michael signed a contract giving those creditors a claim on your house if he defaults. We need to void it legally. I sank into a chair, my breath shaky. Void it? How? Tom sat across from me. We file a fraud claim. Michael forged your consent. It'll hold up in court, but it's risky if those creditors push back. I looked at Ethan, his face angry but determined. Grandma, I found something else, he said, pulling out his phone. Dad texted me this morning, begging me to talk you into signing the house over. Said it's the only way to keep us safe. My heart broke all over again. Safe? I whispered. He's the one who put us in danger. Ava touched my arm. Mrs. Larson, my uncle knows a judge who can expedite this. We can protect you. I nodded, tears burning. Do it, Tom. I want my home safe. He stood, promising to file the papers today. Ethan hugged me tight. I'm so sorry, Grandma. I should have seen Dad's mess sooner. I cupped his face. You're here now, honey. That's enough. As they left, my phone buzzed. Sophie. Mom, I'm outside. Please let me in. I hesitated, my anger still raw, but Clara nodded. Hear her out, Emma. You deserve answers. I opened the door, and Sophie stood there, eyes red, a box in her hands. Mom, I brought something, she said, stepping in. She set the box down, opening it to reveal old photos, letters, James's watch. I found these in my attic. I thought maybe they'd help. I stared at them, memories flooding back, James's laugh, Sophie's tiny hand in mine. Why now? I asked, my voice hard. You lied, Sophie. About the dinner, the nursing home. She sobbed, her voice breaking. I know, Mom. I was wrong. Michael pushed me, said it was for your safety. But I saw those men at his office yesterday, scary guys. I got scared, Mom. I didn't know how bad it was. I gripped my cane, my heart torn. You should have told me, I said. I'm your mother, not a problem to fix. Sophie nodded, wiping her eyes. I want to make it right. I told Michael I'm done lying. I'll help you fight for the house. I wanted to believe her, but trust was thin. Prove it, I said. Go to the police with me. Tell them about those men. Her eyes widened, but she nodded. Okay, Mom. I will. That afternoon, Sophie and I met Officer Dan at the station. She told him everything, Michael's debt, the men, the threats. Dan's face was grim. We know these guys, he said. Loan sharks, dangerous. We'll pick Michael up, get him to talk. I looked at Sophie, her hands shaking. You did the right thing, I said, soft but firm. She hugged me, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Mom. I love you. I held her, my heart easing just a bit. Back home, Clara stayed with me, and Ethan called, saying Tom filed the fraud claim. The house was safe for now. That night, I sat with James's watch. It ticked steady like his heartbeat once was. I thought of the dinner, the lies, the stranger at my door. I'd been hurt, but I'd fought for my home, my family, my place. The moral hit me clear. Love means honesty, not secrets, and strength comes from standing tall, no matter how old you are. I looked at James's photo, smiling. We did it, love, I whispered. We kept our home. The phone buzzed. Ethan. Grandma, Dad's with the police. He's coming clean. You're safe. I closed my eyes, tears falling, but they were happy ones. I was Emma Larson and I'd won.